Special thank you to our sponsors, the Alzheimer's Association and Mugs Coffee House in Lebanon, Oregon. For more information on Mugs Coffee House in Lebanon, Oregon, go to mugslebanon.com. And for more information on the Alzheimer's Association and how to give to this wonderful organization, go to alz.org. Hey, here we are, Thursday afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Oregon on Russ Reels Live. Make sure I say the right show name. It's Russ Reels Live. You know, I opened a show the other day and I said the wrong name and I went, whoop, wrong show. Okay, anyway, it is so great to have everybody here. I'm super excited about the group of friends that I have on today. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk a little authenticity and vulnerability today, and really hot subjects to talk about. And so we want to get into that today and how that affects you and your business and all that you're doing. But first, I just want to remind you, we're here every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Russ Reels Live for your viewing and listening pleasure, if I can say that. And also, I just want to remind you that I have a lot of other live stream shows that I'm not going to go into right now because I'll get confused about which show we're on. But check your local listings and you can find it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. That's where we broadcast every week. Here on Russ Reels Live, too, is LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. But I would like to remind you that, you know what, it's not the same without all of you and all of your friends. So I need for all of you to jump on that share button right now and click it and share. Share it out to your friends and say, guess what? Russ Reels Live is on, and there is amazing people today. We have Mary, we have Nancy, we have Charlene, we have Carl, we have Rosalinde. It's going to be an amazing discussion, and you want to be here, and you want your friends to be here too. Also, it'd be so awesome if you would please subscribe on YouTube. You know what? You join the YouTube community. Not only do you get access to all my past wonderful, amazing guests on the live streams, and you will love what you have there, but you also get notices about upcoming content. You can just go to russreels.live. That's all you got to do. Russreels.live takes you right to my YouTube page. So if you have not done that yet, open a separate tab, go to russreels.live, click the subscribe button. You'll be all good to go. And I would appreciate that so much. Also, if you've not got a copy yet of my book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, you can pick that up on my website, russhedge.com, or any online booksellers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of that. But, you know, all the information about me, not just my book, is right there at russhedge.com. That's where you can connect with me. That's where you can schedule time on my calendar. That's where you can find out about all the amazing things that are going on at russhedge.com. And I'd love to have you go there. I have a free actual PDF download on how to successfully transform your business in 3 simple steps, which is all about connection and community building. And that is what I'm all about. So, okay. I think I got it all out there. So we're going to jump right into this thing because I want to bring my amazing guests in, and we always go ladies first. So the first person we're going to bring in tonight, if I can get this all ready to go, is Mary Fain. Mary, I can't even say her whole name. It's Mary. Let's just stop with that. There you
Mary's
go.
in the house.
Mary's in the house. That's all we need to know. So Mary, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing so good.
I just, you have so much energy. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need another cup of coffee to match Russ's energy tonight. I don't know how you do it. How many live shows do you have, Russ?
I do 5 per week. I do 5 a week, and then I also produce a couple each week. So yeah, I do a lot, but it's a lot of fun. I love it, and it's a great way to really give quality value and raise the visibility of all that you're doing. And so I've just loved it. But mostly I get to meet great people like you.
Aw, thank you. This is not my first rodeo with you, and nor will it be my last. I love the people that you bring together and the topics that we talk about. There's so many. I can't wait for everybody to get up here on screen because this group of people are near and dear to my heart. We've been on stage before. We've been here on your show together before, and talking, authenticity is something that I struggled with being my authentic self for years, and it held me back from success. So
It
I
does.
can't wait for us to dive into these topics.
So before we do that, give everybody a little snippet on who you are. Who is Mary and what are you up to?
Well, hi everyone. I'm Mary Fain Brandt. I'm a career and LinkedIn strategist. I help you go from boring to badass on LinkedIn. I help you get known and get found so you can get hired and find clients. My whole take on LinkedIn is it's a great platform to be on. It's not clunky anymore because it used to be. And I like to help people, let's say, put their personality infused in their profile, because it is about being your authentic self. So that's
Yeah.
what I do. And what I love to do is I love to go to live concerts. Like, I love live music. We have 3 concerts lined up. So that's fun. And kayaking,
That is
kayaking
so
down the
awesome.
river. It
Oh,
starts next month.
gotta love that. Gotta love that. Well, and speaking of active people that are just doing amazing things, we're gonna bring Nancy in the room next. Here she is. Nancy Debra is in the house.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to all the other people who will be up here for elevating this conversation, and for everybody in the comments for adding you to us.
So tell everybody a little bit about you, and I'm going to try to jump in and get some of those comments rolling because I'm way behind. Go ahead.
We know how that goes. So, okay, I'm going to tell
Oh,
you
yeah.
about me. I am the chick with the tool belt. I help people discover their voice and what's already within them, find their authentic self so that they can be their authentic self everywhere, whether it be in social media, in their day-to-day lives. Just they get to take off that mask and free themselves for unconditional love and acceptance. I am named one of the top 50 most impactful people of LinkedIn. I co-host 2 award-winning global live shows with Brian Schulman, What's Good Wednesday and Shout Out Saturday. I am the co-founder of Peekaboo Live, an analytics company that is going beyond the vanity surface metrics and really getting people connected, because it's what it's about is the people behind all those numbers. So the people are getting connected past numbers. And March 24th, I will be an author. I'm part of a 4-book collaborative series, and I'm very excited about based on Dale Carnegie. Now, that's what I do, who I am. I'm human. I'm all about radiating real and owning your age. I'm a cat mama. I'm a public school educator, and I'm a daughter, and I love my bed, especially in the winter when it's chilly here in Southern California.
There you go. Well, that's all amazing just within itself. But before we get into more of that, next in the house is Miss Charlene Brown. Here she is.
Woo,
Whoop, whoop.
woo.
Hey, Charlene. So long time no see. You got to remind me who you are and what you're up to.
Hello. I am Charlene Brown. I am the brand misfit, and I help my clients not only learn how to use tech and build amazing websites, but I actually help them use the websites efficiently so they're not part of the 83% that stays dead online. They're not only working, but they're found and they're actually doing conversions the way that they need them to do.
That is so awesome. And I have a lot of friends that need your help because their websites are failing badly. So we'll talk more about that because you've been a huge help to me. But next in the house is Miss Rosalinde. Here she is. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Thank you, Russ, for having me and these lovely ladies and gentlemen that's backstage.
It's going to be here. Yeah. So Rosalind, give us a little snippet. Who are you and what are you up to?
Who am I? Well, I'm an executive coach and career strategist, and I help professionals and job seekers, either they're in leadership or in transition. So whenever those moments come up, I'm the one that is the piece of the puzzle that's probably missing.
There you go. I think that's a really good way to describe it too. Yes. Well, we appreciate you being here today. And now rounding out this wonderful panel is the one other gentleman helping me out here. Come on, let's all hear it for the Rev, Dr. Shawn Watkins.
Just keeps getting better.
Mr. V.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is a pleasure to be on with such beautiful people, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Been knowing each one of you guys through the pandemic, so it just feels like family. I have went out there to Arizona twice and have missed Mary Fain. I'll be back in September, Mary, so we're gonna make it happen.
Okay.
I got a conference that I'll be doing out there in September, so I will be back. out there. And right where I'm staying, I'm gonna be right off I-10. So I'm gonna try to do
Just shoot
some
me
extra
the date. I'm going to
days.
put it on my
Yeah.
calendar now because we are going to make it happen, and I'll take you
We
to a
got to. We
fabulous
got to.
restaurant.
Tisha
got you.
Marie, I stood her up the last time I was out there. She was waiting for me, and I couldn't get to her. Yeah, so I had to apologize to her nationwide on TV, on the
She'll
network.
come too. We'll
with
make it a party.
millions.
We'll gather everybody here
That's
in
funny.
Arizona that you know. I'll do the
That's it.
gathering and the connecting.
Hey, I'm there. I'm buying my plane ticket now. Tell me when that conference is. I'm
Russ,
heading
you right
down,
up the
so there
you
you
right
go.
up the you right up the way, man. You got to make it down there.
There you go. There you go. It won't be far. Okay, Mr. Carl, Shawn, tell everybody, who are you and why are you so amazing?
I'm amazing because I lead with vulnerability, first and foremost, to say that. But what I do, I help attorneys and law firms kind of like understand leading with vulnerability, equity, and inclusion. And I'm doing that to transform the legal landscape, right? So my core has been vulnerability and leadership, and it continues to be that. So now, as I do, director of DEI at this law firm that I'm at, I've also got some big things coming up. I'm excited to be able to be on the live because I'll be doing a mock trial in Philadelphia next weekend with some Rutgers law students. I will be going in front of the ABA doing a vulnerability and leadership with law April 22nd. So I got some big things going on, but I have not had anything as big as being on this show tonight with this lovely group of people that I'm on here with.
Well,
That's a
and
big
you know,
crowd there.
Carl,
The
that's
ABA.
right.
Yes,
You know, the
the
I
reason,
used to work at a
yeah.
law school, so I kind of know what you're talking about. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
I was kind of nervous at first when I got the call. It was me and a couple of other guys, and
You
he was like,
belong
"But we
there.
like your vulnerability. We like that more.
I
So we're
love
gonna give
it.
you the stay." So I get 90
Where you
minutes to
belong.
talk to lawyers. So
It's where you belong, Carl Shawn
Wow.
Watkins.
Definitely.
for sure, for
yes.
sure. Well, you know, Carl, I'm going to just
Mhm.
let you keep going for a moment because you are Mr. Vulnerability. You are one of the most authentic guys that I know, and I love that about you. And you know, you and I, man, oh man, we haven't got a chat for a little while. So I'm
Yeah.
just so grateful that you took time to be on tonight. And so, really tell us about why vulnerability is so important.
I think it's so and first and foremost I gotta give credit and kudos. I would not have the title Mr. Vulnerability without my partner in crime, Charlene, does on our show. She gave me the title, it stuck, I got it trademarked, and it's who I am now. It's who I've always been, but just being going by that now, it's on all my social media and everybody calls me by that. So I gotta first give her props for giving me that. I think vulnerability is the key to who we truly are. And unless we are embracing it, unless we're leaning into it, we're really not getting the fullness out of who we could be. And a lot of times we place things on ourselves as achievement, knowledge, great jobs, those kind of things, our social network. We put those things as onuses on who makes us. And the funny thing about it is that you are who you are without any of those. I made a post a couple of years now, and I try to recycle that. And try to recycle it around and it said that I had a purpose long before you had an opinion. And I try to put that around because a lot of times what we do, what we live, what we see on social media is someone's opinion of who we should be. So we kind of choreograph our life based upon that. And I think that when you lose that, you lose who you truly are, who God designed you to be. And
Right.
I'm in a tough field to be doing that with lawyers. Of course, you know how we learn. We learn on the magnitude. I'm really blessed that I learned this part before I learned law. So it's easy for me to make that transition and for them to see. But the way that we learn and the way that we lead, vulnerability is very important. It's just saying who you are.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so important because, you know, it's really starts with being authentic. Like you said, being really who you are. You know, that we've talked about this in the last few shows as well. Just not letting people should all over you, right? What you should be, what you should do, where you should go. You should be doing who you authentically are and where you authentically are heading. And within that, then the vulnerability comes out of that and really becomes, you know, I think really it shows people that you're really human, right, Rosalind?
That's correct. But I think, you know, going from law, I'm going to go into the total opposite, which is going to be in the entertainment field. And, you know, we say in theater, we need to set the stage, which begins with ourselves. We really can't think of vulnerability, when we think about vulnerability, we think that it's a sign of weakness. It's like, it's scary. It's considered, a risk. It's considered, there's a duality to vulnerability because it's also has the power to change. It's like Brene Brown says, it takes courage to be vulnerable, but we can't expect vulnerability until we have authenticity. So how do you set that stage for authenticity? If you look at the authentic leaders, they inspire loyalty, trust, and confidence in people around them. So they know the strength of others because they know their own. So how do you do that? And I think it really does begin with knowing your purpose, discovering your why. Be honest with yourself. This allows you to be more connected because, as humans, we're wired to be connected. We want a sense of that belonging. So I think once the purpose, the values align and they're congruent, you can be much more honest around you.
Well, and I love that. You know me, that I am all about, purpose and why you're really going about your life. And I think that's when the true you really comes out because you know where you're going, right? You know what it's all about. And Mary, I know you're just chomping at the bit wanting to add into this. That really, that is so
Rosalinde
important.
and we work in the same industry or fields, and we've been trying to connect, and I was trying to get her on one of my audio events, but Rosalinde, we're turning it into a podcast. So I'm going to hit you up to be one of our first guests. So yeah, so I'm a big proponent on understanding who your authentic self is. I believe that most people don't take the time to understand who their authentic self is. And it's because, we're in school and then college and we're pushed into a job and we think this is the path. This is what we have to do. And I was saying before the show started, I wasn't my authentic self for years, but it started because of my childhood. So my story is that I was told to shush all the time as a child. I talked a lot. I had a lot of things to share. I was passionate about things that I wanted to learn more about, but I was always shushed as a child. And if I hadn't been shushed, I might have started a business as a speaker and a trainer much sooner than I did. I didn't start my business till I was 49. And I laugh. I tell my family now, look, you guys, I get paid to speak and talk. If you hadn't shushed me, but and I'm sharing that because if there are any parents watching, let your children be who they are so they can discover who they are authentically. Authentically, I'm someone who loves people. I love to talk. I like to talk about ideas. I love to help people, especially women. I don't know about you, Rosalinde, but in my career coaching business, I work primarily with women. And the byproduct of working with me, yes, they get packaged up. They get a brand, Charlene, because all career professionals need branding. They get a new resume and they land the new job. But you know what makes my heart smile is that they've learned to be their authentic self through the process. And they tell me that I've given them permission to use their voice. Yeah. And through the process, they've discovered that it's okay to be who they are. They don't have to hide it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. Yeah. I think that's so important. I think we'd all, it's okay to be who you are because we've all been created with certain passions and abilities and talents that we need to utilize. Some of us, like you and I, Mary, just talk. We're really good at that. And that's just what we do. Yeah. I grew up my entire life with my mom just saying, Russell, that's good. That's enough. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. So, look at you now.
I know. And then I started getting paid to talk for it. Actually, I went into communications right off the bat because I figured I better get into somewhere I can just talk all the time because I need that. But, I think what's really interesting is, I look at my kids and then Charlene, we're going to jump to you, but I look at my kids and we have a very musical family, but, a lot of parents or people would say, yeah, you're really not going to make money in music. You really shouldn't do that. Get a real job. Right. And we were always huge advocates and just cheering our kids on. If that's your passion, if that's what you would love and want to do, you get out there and you do that, right? You do what you love to do. And today, my daughter is an amazing worship pastor, full-time job, travels the world doing missions work, has got an amazing career there. My son besides writing and producing all the music for these shows, has been Grammy nominated and Dove nominated the last 2 years for his music and his
Yay.
things that he's doing. So they have made that into something that is a career. And Charlene, I just think it's important. You know, you and Carl have worked so much together, and really this whole idea of authenticity and vulnerability just really surrounds the two of you and all that you're about.
Yes, because I dropped it in the chat that, you know, you can't really be vulnerable or you can't be authentic unless you're vulnerable. And I always credit my partner Carl because he's the one who dragged me in front of the camera. So with that, not only did he do that, but he came with me. So it wasn't just him telling me to do it. He came along with me, and then he showed me, he demonstrated what that was, to not only be vulnerable, but then to allow yourself to showcase how authentic you can be, because we can't really speak to others about what to do and how they should do it if we can't do it ourselves.
Correct.
And that's part of that vulnerable moment inside of you, because you're allowing your guards to be down. You're allowing yourself to be exposed a little bit to the world, to your audience. So not only can they get to know you, they get to understand where you're coming from. A lot of times we say things and we feel like we have to be this persona, but people don't understand where that's coming from. And I too was a child that I was told I should be seen and not heard. And I know a lot of my Caribbean friends and family, we've heard the same thing. So as you're being told that as a child over and over again, it's a training that they're putting you under, but they don't realize that. So when you're becoming older, now they're telling you, well, you got to speak up. You got to talk for yourself. But then how can you, if you've been hushing and telling us as children, we needed to be seen, but not heard. But now as adults, we need to be heard as well, so we can be seen. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. And it's also that, you know, speaking from both sides of your face kind of situation, that you can't encourage children to become strong adults if you're hushing them and you're silencing them. And that kind of separates them, and they can't envision themselves the way that we are now pushing ourselves at this point.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And that's the whole thing, is that taking a look at, you know, how people are made and encouraging those desires and those passions and the direction they really want to go is what really develops great adults. And Nancy, you have, you know, through your whole life, you've gone through lots of challenges and things and really funneled into you're really in the sweet spot of your life right now and the things that you're doing. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I actually feel like I could just say thank you, good night, because everything that everybody has said, like there's so much wisdom here, and I couldn't agree more with what everyone's saying. You know, for me, similar to everyone else here, I lost my voice as a child, but that was for a very different reason. And I came onto LinkedIn without anything to sell, and I started talking about having been sexually abused by my grandfather. And you ask most people if that's something you talk about on LinkedIn, and they would say absolutely not. But the reality is, it's what we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about living life and being human, right? We're doing all these things to try and connect, yet we're keeping each other separated from one another by that unwillingness to get vulnerable together, right? It's not even a safe space. It's a brave space. We're both going to enter into this together. And you look at, like, when I work with clients, we look at approval versus acceptance. And so often we end up looking for approval because we are not sure of who we are inside. And so we're looking at what other people are doing, and we're trying to mimic them and wondering why we don't have success, because we're not them. That's not what's meant for us, right? Not only that, you're putting the control outside of yourself, and you lose your thought. You literally lose who you are because you're trying to be someone else. For me, like I said, was sexually abused by my grandfather until I was 16 years old. And without realizing it until I was able to look back, I spent my whole life gaining my voice back, but making sure others always had theirs, and that they had relationships where they could feel safe and vulnerable and be themselves. I became a speech language pathologist, and I specialized in social cognition. And I worked in an area where trauma is the rule, not the exception. So there I was, bringing my voice to them to advocate for them. And then I moved into doing the live streams and the shows and the coaching, and again realized, wow, my whole life has been about giving people voice, and it's been about joining them for the journey. right? It's this, like, I joke all the time, not so much a coach as a Sherpa. Like, we're just going to do this
Right.
together. We're going to go through it together. You're going to discover what's already within you. And that's that beautiful space where many of us have said, like, when you're with someone in that space and they find that, it is a privilege. It's an absolute privilege to be there. Russ, I think you asked me a question that I did not answer. What was the question?
No, and that's quite all right, because we'll get back to it, I'm sure. But I think what is really important is, in life we need to meet people where they are. Right? It's a matter of being present and seeing where people are and listening, being observant. And Carl, you and I both, we love the Lord and all that. We're men of strong faith. But I think people of faith a lot of times too miss that boat, because there's certain things are taboo, just like Nancy was bringing up, certain topics and subjects people don't talk about. They can't really be who they are, and they can't really get the help they need. A lot of the things that go on with the suicide rate and a lot of horrible things happening are because nobody's talking about the things that need to be talked about. And so I think it's important to be able to reach out to people, bring community in, authentic community that are willing to be a little vulnerable and talk about these things and help each other out. Right, Carl?
Absolutely. The conversation, you guys have said so many great things, and I can only echo it and continue to echo it. I think the foundation for who we truly are is just allowing ourselves to be that, right? And whatever that is to you, I think a lot of us have dealt with the shush thing. I was kind of like a comedian, kind of class clown thing, right? But a lot of that was me being that way because of so many hurts and pains that my life had endured at such a young age. So for me to talk about things and to examine or get out what I had to say, a lot of it was through comedy, trying to be funny, the class clown, cutting up, those kind of things. And you get to be ostracized and then labeled even further. And you get no attention to the things that you're dealing with. So it's very hard to become vulnerable. I think the key to me becoming really vulnerable was when my dad passed at 15, and I got the upper end of my teen years up until adulthood raised by 4 women, my aunts, my grandmother, and my mother. And from everything I knew as a man, from what he taught me, it started taking a whole new twist with the vulnerability piece of how women deal with things. And I think that is the most precious things God has ever given me, because it's given me an understanding to know that even though how we think about things and how we act and how we truly are living facades. And I don't care what part of it you want to showcase to someone, you are living facades, and you have to overcome those. You have to be empowered to do those. And that's with having your voice. And that's with living your life. I don't live my life for social media. I mean, do I use it? Do I engage in it? Is it important to me? For some things it is. But it's not a comparison. It's not a competition. What I do and what I figure is success for me is what makes me happy. The changes and the impact that I make on others' lives. And in doing that, I just see that, and spiritually really guides that. I don't get on telling everybody to go to church. I just live something that you see different than other people that you see. I don't get on a campaign or a soapbox and tell you you're going to hell or you're doing all of that. It's not necessary. I don't do that. That's not religion to me. Religion to me is living a life where someone sees a difference and they say, oh, there's something different about that guy. And that's really, to me, what vulnerability is.
Well, and that's so true. I love what you just said then, because we have to live in those terms. We would say you need to live your witness. You got to live what you want other people to see in the direction you want to direct other people. You can tell them all day long. We can flap our gums and say, whoop, this is what you should do and this is the way you should be. But if we start modeling that and showing that through our actions, then people really make that change on their own timeline, right, Rosalind?
Absolutely. We were talking, as I'm hearing all these stories, and, it seems like people have been quieted down, and then they couldn't speak, and they didn't have a voice. When I was growing up, I did have a voice, and I spoke up for everyone in my classroom. I always wondered, why was everyone just looking at me? Because they were just so afraid to be themselves and to speak up. And I took that and I ran with that in every single thing that I have done, in every single position. I have spoken up, whether it's a man, it's a woman, or whoever it is. It's always been about advocating for the people that cannot speak. And I really do feel strongly about that because, yes, it has gotten me in trouble because I just kind of just don't shut up. And so, but and they say that, there's a difference between, that truth, and everyone has their own truth. However, I've always been honest with what I say to people, and and however it lands, it lands. But let's look at this together because, like you say, Russ, and I always go back to what you say, we are better together. We're not an island.
No. Well, we completely are. And that's where, what I love about this show is because we come in and we're better in a conversation together because we bring out ideas and sharpen what we're talking about by listening to each other and then adding in our 2 cents, and you walk out of that. So no matter what we're doing in life and business, we are definitely better together. And I just am so appreciative to have amazing friends like you all that I can't even begin to tell you what a blessing it is. And Mary, you and I, it's been a minute or two since we chatted, but you know what? I always love the wisdom that you bring, the energy that you bring in the conversation, because you really are you.
I'm me. So back to authenticity. It's too hard to be two people. Who has time to be one person online and another person in life?
There's a
one person
there's a
at
book
church?
out, Mary. You know what? It's like, be you. Everyone else is taken.
Yeah, and so, but it took me a long time to step into me. It took a long time for me to be okay with who I am and where I'm at. And part of that were people I was hanging around because they were over here, and I thought I was having that FOMO. Like, oh, I need to follow that path, and I need to do more streaming, or I need to speak on bigger stages. And I have to say that I don't have that FOMO anymore. I'm very content with the work that I'm doing and the people that I'm serving and helping and being authentic. For example, in business, when I tried to do a webinar years ago, I had a script, you guys, because I was so nervous. I don't know if anybody else gets nervous. And I had to put all my thoughts down. And I was reading off this script. And you know what? It was awful. I had people just said, Mary, that was so bad. Like, we were expecting you and your energy, as you say, Russ. And because I was reading like a robot, a script, I know Nancy can appreciate this. I was not being authentically myself. And what I bring to the table is my high energy. I talk with my hands. I wear bright colors. I'm joyful, but that is authentically who I am in person. And Shawn, you're going to see that when we meet up in September. Nancy has met me in person last year. This is who I am. I can't be two people. And I want everyone to embrace who they are and, develop the talents you already have. They always say, oh, work on your weaknesses. No, work on your talents, you guys. Just elevate those. So be that speaker, be that trainer, be that coach, be that executive assistant, be that horse trainer, whatever you are, go all in and be passionate about it and be authentically yourself. It will pay off. You'll be happier.
And it's easier.
That is a very good example of when you're not authentic, it becomes stressful. It's not easy. And then all of a sudden you get depressed and all those other things come into play. So
you compare yourself to everyone else. You have imposter syndrome. You're having FOMO. You're like, when you are in alignment, when you're authentically being yourself, you're like, cool, I'm on the path I should be. I'm right. Yeah. And when you're a person of faith, like I'm a person of faith, you're like, this is where God wants me to be. Maybe it's not where I thought I was going to be, but it's not on my time. It's on God's time. This is a lesson I learn continually.
Well, and I am
really
58 years. No, and I'm 58 years young and I'm learning every day. I am learning every day. When I started my business, I had all kinds of well-meaning, wonderful friends telling me what I should do and how I should do everything. And I started into that path and doing all this stuff. And then I started realizing, this really isn't for me. And this really isn't for me. And that sounds good, but it's stressing me out. And when I get up in front of people and I speak, someone asked me a while back and I was giving a talk and they said, hey, do you get like really nervous before you get up and talk? And I said, no, not really. And they said, why? I said, because it's me talking. It's all about what I'm passionate about. I could do this without a script, without PowerPoint, without anything. I could talk for hours because it's coming out of me, right? So it makes it flow. It makes it easy. When I try to be Shawn Watkins, who's amazing, I can't pull that off. And I'm really stressed about it because I'm trying to be somebody I'm not.
It's like putting yourself in a box,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
being authentically yourself, you're not in a box. So my corporate self
gosh.
was in this box, and when I went into business, I tried to stay in this box where I thought I needed to be. I needed to be super professional, buttoned up, right? Corporate world was still in me. And I'm just not a corporate person. I don't know if you guys can tell, but like I am so not the corporate person.
Well, and it's about
ourselves.
adopting that internal report card, right? That internal report card that we only seem to grade ourselves when we think we're failing. We never go into that internal report card and be like, A+, I did a great job with that. We just don't. And that's, again, comparison. Do we want this approval or do we want acceptance for who we are? And I started the hashtag Radiating Real movement for just that reason, right? Myself, I had worn a mask for so long. And when I finally took it off, the relief, and I didn't even realize how much energy it was taking to keep that mask on and everywhere I went. And, you know, when I started the Radiating Real movement, it was all about like, take off that mask, show up authentically you, and receive the unconditional love and the unconditional acceptance that we all deserve. Because that's what it's about, right? We are beautiful as we are. And we've all had challenges. And I encourage everyone to embrace those challenges and understand that they've made you who you are and they've given you certain skills. And, you know, we're all unique because we don't have the same path. And there's no one else that can bring what you've learned from living your life with you. And so when we show up as our authentic selves, it encourages others to do the same. Another reason I started the hashtag Radiating Real movement was, hey, here I am, no makeup. Russ can tell you, I hopped on his show once in a bathrobe because he needed someone at 7 a.m. in the morning. You know, I'm not wearing makeup today. Sometimes I do. My hair's not done. This is just me. And what ends up happening is because I'm willing, and just like these people here, right, to get vulnerable, share the ugly, snotty, unsexy life, like parts of being human and living life, people that resonates with them. I become real. I'm not this person on the other side of the screen. I'm not just the things that I listed in the beginning of the show. I'm a human being who experiences things the way everybody else does. And that's the most important part, right? Is that we have a commonality, a place to connect. But if we don't allow ourselves to be authentic and real and show up and be willing to get vulnerable, that can't happen.
And that's, I'd like to add to Nancy, that's
Right.
how the stage gets set. We can't expect other people to deliver if you're not delivering.
Right. It's
Yeah.
leading by example.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
most powerful thing we can do is live our truth and live by example, which inherently gives other people permission to do the same.
Well,
And
and
you'd be
I think
surprised
people
with
can
being
tell that. Go ahead, Carl.
you'd be surprised with being yourself how other people will receive you and perceive you. A lot of times we're so ambitious to be someone who we think is getting the attention or the glory or the fame or whatever you want to call it. You'd be surprised how many times where I walk into a room as me, which I always do. But I walk into a room as me, and I'm greeted as me. And you say that really don't make sense, but it makes a lot of sense because I'm not walking in the room as someone else. I carry my aura, so I don't carry an aura as someone that's with them because they're important, or someone with him because he's a name or a celebrity. When I come in the room, it's aura that I carry, and it's a distinct aura. It's something someone sees. It's not just a bow tie and a beard. It's just when I come into rooms and I talk to people and I say things to people, I have people ear, and that's not it. I always say it's by the grace of God. It's no goodness of my own. I could have been doing anything at any point in time, but I think He's allowed me to be empowered by who I am with everything that has happened to me, and He's taken that and He's made me embrace that, and in embracing that who I am, I'm proud to be. Now, there's some ups, some downs, some dark days, some things I don't want out the closet. Absolutely. But I'm empowered by Carl. And that's more so than anyone else that you could say. I'm not empowered by singer, actor, celebrity. They
And
probably
so
don't
many
even
of
know.
us, so many of us have spent time. I want to acknowledge this. So many people, so many of us have spent so much time not being our authentic selves that when we step into it, it's uncomfortable. Even though
You're
it's where you're
scared.
meant to be,
Yes.
I want you guys to know, like, it wasn't easy for all of us. It gets easier, but we spend so much time outside of being who we are that when you step in, it's uncomfortable.
Comfortable.
And that's okay, because it's being you is new to you. You've done it differently for so long, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and you settle in and you realize, you know, I tell people when I do my keynotes, you know, during the pandemic, I live alone with 2 cats. I spent a lot of quality time with myself and my story, and I got to know like the real Nancy Debra Barrows, and I liked her. And that's the piece, right? Look at ourselves, and instead of finding all the things that we think are wrong, let's love what we love about ourselves. The people closest to us in our lives are not perfect, and we don't focus on quote unquote their shortcomings or their flaws or the way they're bruised or have been broken and put back together. We don't focus on that for other people, but we do that to ourselves, and it's wholly unfair, not only to us, but to the people around us who don't get to experience us as our authentic selves. And especially because you got this brave space. If somebody's putting themselves out there as their authentic self, well, you know for sure I'm showing up and doing the same, because I'm not going to leave you out there alone, right? This is not something that you do and the whole world walks away. This is something you do and you attract the right people, and you start to feel at home, and you start to build this community that is everything you didn't know you needed.
Right. Well, and I think that we need to have that full picture of life, because it attracts people to you and all that you're doing when you're real and you're saying, you know what, I'm going through some struggles. And I don't mean that we need to bear all of our dirty laundry to everybody, but
That's
there's
not real.
times when no, and there's times when we need to step out, just like my cancer journey that I've been going through. You know, what an amazing show of love and support for people when I actually stepped forward and was a little vulnerable and told people what I was going through. And it made such a huge difference. And Charlene, I'm going to jump to you because you're the quietest one in the group, and we got to get you back up here. But you know, it's a matter of sharing the real you. That just like, you know, you say, Nancy Debra, the good, bad, and the ugly at times. But you know, but bringing it back, I always say, bring it back to a positive point, and that is, I tell people this is what's happening. But you know what? I've got a great mindset, a great perspective on life. God is blessing me, and I'm going in the right direction, one step at a time, sometimes stumbling along, but I'm making it and I'm moving forward. And Charlene, I just think that, you know, you again, you know, you gave Carl Shawn his vulnerability tag, but you are just such an authentic person in all that you do. I'll just let you pick it up from there.
Yeah, well, for me, I am quiet, Rob. But
Not for long, not after this.
well, one thing I've really come to understand about myself, I'm a very good listener and I'm an observer. So I try to figure out what's really happening. And that's where part of my vulnerability comes in, because I don't always like to just be out in the front without understanding the games of what's going on. And what does that mean? To me, that means, especially if you're showing up publicly, if you're showing up as your true self, are you in the right crowd? Are you around the right people that you should be doing this with? I've seen too many times, and I've also been a victim of it, where I will be open, I will be vulnerable, and people will use it against me. So I'm not in the right position, and I'm not in the right space, and I don't have that support that people can actually support me being vulnerable and encourage me to not only accept and acknowledge my vulnerability and my truth, but find ways to improve on that. You always find that people will take advantage because they feel like they can. Especially for me, folks will see I'm quiet and assume that I'll just allow them to walk all over me. So my truth is, do I go ham or do I listen to my inner Carl and calm down and just figure out a better way to approach the situation? So I definitely find ways to approach situations. And for me, the truth is always the truth, no matter where I am in whatever space it is. How I am is me, but I have to understand people's perceptions of me. Is that real? Is it not? And then also, is it up to me to change those perceptions? And it's not. It's up to me to remain truthful to who I am, but not allow other people's perceptions to dictate who I should be or how I should be seen. So that's where I started to really work on myself, especially the last couple of years, and knowing that I'm going to be doing lives, I'm on different shows, I'm meeting so many different people, especially on a platform like LinkedIn. We think it's professional, everybody will be nice, but that's not the case. Mean people, trolls, they're everywhere. So you just have to understand, how are you going to allow yourself to navigate those waters, regardless of where you are? Are you allowing yourself to be dictated to on how you should be seen and how you should move? Or are you allowing your truth and your inner true self to come out, shine, and guide you the way everyone says, God, the universe, however you may see that perception? How are you allowing that to guide your true self? So for me, that's really what it is. I try to figure out, am I around people who support me? And I've been blessed that I have 4 different communities of, especially a lot of women that I've known the majority of my life, from my early childhood through college life, through my adulthood, that I've made so many friendships that they have actually encouraged me. They didn't tell me that, oh, you're crazy, you shouldn't do this. I've always gotten that encouragement, and I continue to look for those types of spaces. So I know when to allow my vulnerability to shine, and when to be like, you know what, y'all don't deserve this vulnerability, so I'm gonna keep it moving.
Charlene, quiet no more.
Yeah, she's quiet no more. And vulnerability, let me tap on that a little bit, Russ.
Hey, Carl, Carl, hang on just a sec. I'm gonna let you do that,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you what we're doing. We're taking a last round. We're gonna start with
The last
Carl.
wrap.
And yeah, because you guys are doing so amazing. We could be talking for another hour, but as we draw to the end of the hour, we're gonna let Carl, you say your last bit, and then make sure and tell everybody how to get in touch with you. This is an amazing discussion. Carl, go ahead.
Don't listen to Charlene when she tell you how to get in touch with me. That's not the right advice.
What, smoke signal?
No, but I want to say again, first and foremost, thank you so very much for having me on, Russ. Humbled as always to be in the presence of great people. That's what it's designed. That's what's life about. What I want to tap on with Charlene, I just want to say in the essence of that, she was my first client before I had a business. And when I say that, she was one that I poured into. And I think it's essential that when we talk about vulnerability, Nancy Debra hit it on the head. Just want to end on this note. Yes, we are empowered by it because we have went through stages of it. And we've been in those stages to be empowered to do what we do now. But I know that there's fear and trepidation in being vulnerable. And I know that there's an opportunity for those that are seeking to take advantage of you. I oftentimes use it, and I'll end with this. I use it when I first talked to the first corporate client I had. I used the closet on him. And I said, well, you're in the closet. You have everything available to you within that closet. But if you need anything out of that closet with the door closed, you have not availed yourself to it. And you are safe to the things in that closet. And I say, but if you open up that closet and see what the world has to you, that's vulnerability. Yes, vulnerability, you can shut it up and be safe, so you think to yourself. But once you express it out there, you will learn how to be strategic and intentional and use it as a tool to guide you and not be taken advantage of. But again, Russ, thank you. Reach out to me. I'm there on LinkedIn. I am there. I know it's been a long time, but I am there. CarlShawnWatkins.com is the best place you can find me.
Yeah. And all that information amazingly just appeared below you, Carl.
Yeah, just appeared. That was my cue, Russ. That was my cue. I think you gave me a cue.
That's it. And we can all give a big shout out to Ever for that. Thank you, Ever. So yes, she's my extra hands.
Forever, ever.
So anyway,
Forever, ever?
Yes.
Ever.
Charlene, we're gonna go to you next.
Oh wait, what's the question? I'm over here celebrating Carl.
Yeah, go ahead. Celebrate Carl, gold nuggets, and how to get in touch with you.
Oh, okay. Yes. My partner in crime. He's on loan for right now, so I'm about to grab him real quick. But honestly, I would just say continue to be you, but learn to embrace it. It's hard, especially if you've been hushed for so long. embrace it. It doesn't have to be this huge whirlwind of you becoming this top speaker, but slowly get into that. Slowly start talking to small groups and small group of people that will help encourage your voice, help encourage to enlighten and enhance your voice. And never figure out, always try to figure out where you should always be, where you should be in terms of who's going to support you. Don't be in spaces that are not supportive, and stop trying to fight against that wave, because it becomes tiring and then you become despondent. So that's what I'll say. And you can get in touch with me here on LinkedIn, on my website, brooklyn.customdesigns.com. And of course, if you ever need to learn how to use your vulnerability and showcase that on your own website, you can actually join me for my Struggle Site Rescue Strategy Day at strugglesiterescue.com. And that way we actually go hands on together in a small group, and we explore that whole purpose together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And she's helped me struggle through my website too, and picked it apart on her and Robert. They did great. They just picked it apart right online. And that was what I wanted too. So Rosalinde, you're next.
Wow, there's just so many great things that have been said so far. I'm not sure if I could come up with, but here is what I was thinking while everyone was speaking. We have the sense of like perfection. If you just kind of let go of the perfection, and I know that was really key for me, because I'm a Virgo and we're always into perfection. It's like everything needs to be perfect. Yeah, exactly. So but humans are imperfect. It's failure is going to be inevitable. So but it's within those failures that the greatest opportunities and open up to like a bigger world. So it's just letting some of that go, letting some of the ego go as well, because that is also in that perfection as well. So like, there are things that are just lying around and everything needs to be all neat. Just let it go for a second, see how you feel. So I'd like to leave with just, without any risk, there's never going to be any reward.
Right. Yeah. And people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn, of course, and Rosalinde at yourlaunchpad.com.
There you go. That's it. All right. Thanks so much. Mary, you are up.
I don't know how to follow all this, man. This is tough, because you guys are all amazing. First, Russ, thank you. All the panelists here, you guys are all amazing. So I just wrote down a couple things. Be you, shine bright. Done is better than perfect. That was a lesson that took me forever to learn. And I'm not a Virgo. It's because fear was holding me back. I want to say that things should scare you a little bit. Okay. A little bit. If you're not having a little, if you're not scared a little bit, then you're complacent and you're too comfortable. So having a little fear is okay. And I think a lot of people, they get that fear stuck in their head, and then they have paralysis. I can't move forward. And I want to say I'll fail forward fast. So take action, do the things that scare you. It's not going to ruin your life, right? I launched a webinar. It was awful. Guess what? My business didn't crumble, but I learned from that you know what? I don't do well on webinars. So fail forward fast. And every time you fail, what is the one lesson that you learned from it? And then, growth comes through facing fears and failing. I know that sounds weird to a lot of people, but when I fail is when I have the biggest growth. So.
Yeah. So, and people get a hold of you.
Oh, I have a new website that's easy to remember, because my last name is not easy to spell for some people. Master It with Mary.
Okay.
Right? Much better?
Yes. We're going to have to get that out there. That's it.
Master
It with Mary.
It
I
with
like
Mary. Yes, and I have new VIP half-day services where we get it done and dusted. I'll get it, transform your profile. So my career professionals out there, I will brand you, package you up, get you a new resume, show you how to go get a job. It is a slowing market, but people are still hiring. And for my entrepreneurs, small business, and sales teams, let's talk about how we can leverage LinkedIn for your branding and to attract the right clients.
There you go. There you go. Well, I've got to bounce.
Do you guys
back to
like
your
the Master
statement.
It with Mary? Do you
Yeah,
guys
I
like
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yes,
Charlene
much
is
better.
giving you. There you go. Thumbs up from Charlene. It's all good.
Oh yeah, Charlene.
Um,
I should have reached out to you.
Never too late. Never too late. All right,
Not
Nancy,
That's right.
you're up next. You're gonna wrap things up, Nancy. Go for it.
Oh, you're on mute. Nancy's on mute.
I was on mute because I was over here writing and typing, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm making all this noise." So I also wrote down a few things. First, I put it in the comments. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your successes as much as your failures, because we're not defined by either. What you want are people around you who are celebrating you, no matter what's going on. That's my first piece to all of you. Also, little secret, even coaches need coaches. So if you've been trying to do this work on your own and you've been trying to look in the mirror and work through these things and you're starting to beat yourself up because nothing's changing, know that this is not easy and it's really hard, close to impossible to do on your own. So don't think it's a failure, and you don't have to suffer in silence to say to someone, hey, I don't know what to do here, right? Whatever's going on for you. And I invite everyone to sign up for a 15-minute consultation on my Calendly. We can have that talk. What's the next first step forward? Because it's one step at a time. I also am going to challenge everyone to write a list of the people you are 100% honest with. It's an important list. Those are your people. Those are your case studies when you think you can't do it and no one will accept you and no one will understand. And when you've made that list, I'm gonna hit you with the punchline. Is your name on the list? Are you 100% honest with yourself about who you are, what you need? Because you need to have your name on the list. You are the first person you need to be honest with and the first person whose needs need to be met before anything else can happen. In terms of getting in touch with me, the Calendly link is calendly.com/Nancy Barrows. I'm a LinkedIn gal. You can find me here. If you're having trouble finding me, because I'm Nancy Debra, Debra, on LinkedIn, you can get in touch with any of these people. They know where to find me, or smoke signals. If all else fails, send some smoke signals. We'll figure it out. And as one final nugget, I want to say, having met Mary in person, all the energy you're feeling here is muted compared to what she brings in person. Like the hug and the hello and the was so big and so wonderfully energizing. So it's so important for us when we have the opportunity to meet one another in person. We feel like we're connected because we are. We've gotten vulnerable. We've gone through things with people, but being with those people in person is a different kind of solidifying connection, right? It's a human. We're all humans. We're 3D, and we get to have that moment together.
Thank you, Nancy. Debra, are you going to be in San Diego?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this year, which makes me so sad. I loved it. Social media marketing world is there, and it's so close, but I'm going to try. I'm trying to move some work things around.
Okay. Because I'll give you another big hug, shout outs, we'll have fun.
Absolutely.
When are you going to be in San Diego, Mary?
I leave Saturday. I'm there for a week. Social media
if anyone is looking, Podfest Expo, they have a free week of content coming up March 22nd. Brian Schulman and I have been asked to keynote that, and we are bringing this beautiful community to the pod fam and the podcasting community, because a lot of them don't feel like LinkedIn is for them. And we are determined to make sure they know what happens here on LinkedIn, the community that they can build and be a part of. And there's going to be this huge merger of these amazing families. I'm not giving up till it happens.
That's amazing. That's
Awesome.
amazing. Well, listen, I'm going to jump in and say you're all amazing. I just have had an awesome time, and we could talk for another hour easy. But I just want to tell you guys that it means so much to me that you're all willing to spend some time and really give everybody, some of your heart and some of this real authentic vulnerability of yourself and share that not only with each other, but with everybody watching today. And, it means so much to me, and I appreciate each one of you. I have learned on this journey with my own business and meeting all of you on LinkedIn. It's so important to connect here, but you just brought it up. We need to continue to create opportunities to meet in person too, and we need to all look for that. The people that I've been blessed to be able to meet that I only knew on LinkedIn or online before, it is so much fun to actually sit down, have coffee with them, and just be blessed, to spend time actually with them outside of just looking at the screen. And so we're all going to do that. We're all going to make that happen. But for today, I just want to thank you all. I'm going to close things up today, and I'm going to do it the way I did last week. We're just going to all stay here and wave goodbye because it's just more fun that way. So I just appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget,
you, Russ.
every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Russ Reels Live. We're all here. Thanks for being here with us today. And until we see you again, have a great day and a great life. Goodbye, everybody. Woohoo!
Bye.